Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns, and I'm sure that the headline of the email and the title of the feature article that we've put out certainly was attention grabbing, and I guess I'll begin by saying that we are all familiar with the old adage about if it sounds too good to be true, in all likelihood it is. And I say that because, as most everyone is aware, a couple of weeks ago I put out a very complimentary piece on Governor John Bel Edwards, and I did so as a result of some changes he had made on the Auctioneers Licensing Board. And one of those changes was to appoint Reverend Freddie Lee Phillips, who previously served on that board in a tireless manner, to report the corruption and the improprieties that go on in that board and have gone on for years. I was very pleased with Governor Edwards' appointment because I knew that that would mean, and by the way, Reverend Phillips declined to serve the second term of the Jindal administration because of attacks that were launched on him, and I have videos galore, okay, to substantiate that. But at any rate, Governor Edwards put out a press release on April the 20th announcing that Reverend Phillips was being appointed to this board. We're going to give you a link to the press release. I've got the section where Reverend Phillips was appointed highlighted, so it's there for you to quickly see. Boards and Commissions website was updated, and it reflected him being a member of the Auctioneers Licensing Board. I'm going to give you a link to that as well, and it'll have highlighted him being a member even as of the day I'm filming this, which is May the 7th, 2016. But I can only tell you that on May the 4th, this past Thursday of 2016, which is only 5 days or 6 days before a board meeting, I guess they could no longer put off telling him, and so they telephoned him and they informed him that Governor Edwards had rescinded his appointment. As I said, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Although I never would have thought that a governor would endure the colossal embarrassment of issuing a press release stating that he is on this board, of updating the Boards and Commissions website to reflect him being on the board, of having him fill out all of the required paperwork, go and get these things notarized, turn them into the Secretary of State, and then call him 6 days before a board meeting and say, we're rescinding the appointment. But that's what Governor John Bel Edwards has done. And the official explanation from Ellen Parmentier was that Governor Edwards had made a prior commitment, her words, to reappoint Darlene Jacobs Levy to that board. And so I called Miss Jacobs Levy to get a comment for this video episode, and I asked if she could confirm or deny whether or not any such prior commitment had been made to her. She refused to do either. She said, I will not confirm nor deny any such commitment, and it would only be appropriate for Governor Edwards to comment on that matter. She also indicated she didn't know what her status was, whether she could be at Tuesday's LALB meeting. She said it would be a function of whether or not the Secretary of State informed her that all of her paperwork was in order, which to me means it must have been turned in at the last minute, which I guess means this was a rather recent development. I then called Miss Parmentier, and actually I had an associate call her, a guest writer, or a guest producer if you will, far sound off Louisiana, and she confirmed that Governor Edwards had made a prior commitment. When he stated that Miss Jacobs had been contacted and that she said she was not going to confirm or deny that such a prior commitment had been made to her, and she also explained that politics is politics. People win and lose elections all the time, and people get appointed and not appointed to boards and commissions all the time, and that people serve at the pleasure of the governor, even if in this instance means he never even got to attend the first board meeting. By the way, Reverend Freddie Phillips is a friend of mine, and he is also the only African-American auctioneer ever in the history of this state. But Governor Edwards has rescinded that appointment. Miss Parmentier went on to say, when she was advised of the fact that Miss Jacobs would not confirm nor deny that Governor Edwards had made a prior commitment to her, she said, "I never said the commitment was made to Miss Jacobs." Now, I don't know to whom this prior commitment was made. I just know that Governor Edwards has made a colossal mistake here. He has clearly made a fool of me, but in the process has made an even bigger fool of himself. I have had friends ask, well, are you going to take the post down? I'm not going to take the post down where I praised him. It will serve as a reminder for me in 2019 as he has his opposition, and he will certainly have very formidable opposition. I can assure you of that. I am hoping Jeff Landry is one of those opponents. But be that as it may, we are where we are. Governor Edwards will appear at a press conference or in front of the Baton Rouge Press Club on Monday, the 9th of May. And I'm going to ask one simple question. I mean, obviously everything I've put out is factual. You've got the links for it. If Governor Edwards believes in transparency, I'm going to ask him, to whom did you make this prior commitment? We'll see if he'll answer. He made it to somebody. Ellen Parmentier has emphatically stated that. It also begs the question, are you not capable of tracking these sorts of things such that you would humiliate this man, putting out a press release saying that he's appointed, letting him tell all of his friends, letting him tell his church members to pull the rug out from him, under him, 5 days before a board meeting with the revelation that you've made a prior commitment. I'm going to wrap this up, and then I'm going to give you a very brief video clip of Reverend Phillips fighting for an 84-year-old widow who presented her case to the LALB on one of the most egregious violations I've ever seen. And yet the LALB collectively turned her away. But Reverend Phillips continued to contact her, continued to pray with her, and I worked with her. She's a John Bel Edwards supporter. Everyone knows I'm a David Vitter supporter. I could have easily said, ma'am, I can't help you. That would be politics, which is what I would assert John Bel Edwards is placing at the top of his priority here. But we worked with her. I got her trained for appearing in 36 Judicial District Court. All the questions lined up, all the witnesses lined up, and she won. $4,102.29, I believe, was the judgment. And that was a proud moment. But you're going to see a video after I wrap this up, and I'm almost done. Obviously, it's quite somber. I'm disheartened, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But my final concluding remarks are going to be that, you know, Governor Edwards, in the campaign, you said that David Vitter wouldn't last 2 days at West Point. And I have no doubt that may be true. And I can tell you something right now, I wouldn't last 3 hours at West Point. I know that. Okay? And I'm not taking anything away from the fact that you were able to go through that rigorous program. I know it's very demanding. When I was at Glen Oaks, by the way, Reverend Phillips and I are both Glen Oaks High School graduate. I graduated class of 81, he graduated class of 83. When I was a freshman, we had a gentleman, I won't call his name, but he was a dedicated ROTC guy. He was top of his class, stellar guy, excelled at ROTC, and he enrolled in West Point. He didn't make it. So I know it's a very rigorous program, and I commend you for having the tenacity to make it through a program like that. But Governor Edwards, you have touted your honor code repeatedly. Some would argue that running on your own, constantly beating the drum of your own honesty and integrity is self-serving and turns some people off. But that's what you did, and I'm just going to tell you something. With a move like you've made here, and I mean this with all of my heart, I'll put the honor code that the teachers at Glen Oaks High School instilled upon me and Reverend Phillips up against your honor code that you say you got from this academy any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Now I'm going to conclude this video in letting you see what you missed out on in Reverend Phillips. You're fixing to see a little video clip from January the 26th of 2015, standing outside of 19th Judicial District Court after a hearing in Judge Caldwell's courtroom. Reverend Phillips continued to work with Miss Story because it was the right thing to do. Nevertheless, the lady you have chosen to reappoint because of a prior commitment turned her back on this lady. She would not vote to find the auctioneer guilty. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the link for everything associated with what happened in this auction, entailing auctioneer Marlo Schmidt. Governor Edwards, what you're about to watch is what you missed out on. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
LALB, you have been designed to do a job. And one of the jobs is to protect the public, to protect elderly people like me. And I think you need to reopen this investigation, do the job that I deserve having done for me.
But I think this validates the original vision that you had in forming LAPA, so I'd just like to maybe have you make a few comments as to what your assessment is. I know you and Miss Story have been in regular contact. I know you've offered prayerful support that she has acknowledged, and that's quite commendable. So I'm going to let you take the floor for just a moment. Now, he's a preacher, folks, so hopefully he won't go off on an hour for us, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to chime in as to how you feel this, assess this situation.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank all of the Louisiana auctioneers who began to look at this video and understand why LAPA was formed as a Louisiana Association of Professional Auctioneers. I also want the Louisiana auctioneers to look at what the regulatory body is doing to the elderly. Now, Ms. Story did not know all of the law, but she knew enough of it to know that she had been wrong. And because of that, she filed a claim. Not having the ability to do everything, she was asking for professional help. And I think the regulatory body is obligated to advise the public of their rights and their duties to what they can and cannot do. They made a promise to her that they would look into it, but only to look away from it and do nothing about it. And we're here today in support of Ms. Story's claim of what the board should have done. And we ask the board to make it right. Do what you should have done. She's still out of $32-something hundred that she's seeking remedy for. And if you want to do the right thing, go back, file this claim, and help this widow of 84 years receive what she needs in order to feel comfortable that justice was done. I'm the president of the Louisiana Association of Licensing and Professional Auctioneers. My name is Freddie Phillips, and I endorse this ad.
Thank you, Freddie. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I thank you